NASCAR's best road racer goes back-to-back. Did Ty Gibbs do anything on pit road with his incident with RFK Racing? Plus, Justin Marks, he looks like a genius right now. Welcome back to Break Hard. I'm Matt. Spoiler alert right off the bat. I'm going to talk about who wins the NASCAR Cup Series race on Sunday in Sonoma. If you don't want to hear it, turn it off now. Skip ahead in chapters. Do whatever you want to do. But Shane Van Gisbergen wins once again, going back-to-back. He wins in Chicago last week. He goes out to Sonoma, wins there. He can drink the wine. Connor Zilic couldn't drink the wine on Saturday when he won the Xfinity Series race. He now has 3 wins on the NASCAR Cup Series season, tying him for the most in the series with Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell. And guess what? He now has 17 playoff points. That puts him third in the standings. He is very much not in risk of missing the playoffs and very much in a pretty decent position to have an all right average finish in the first round to advance on to the second round. He's not going to be necessarily the easy out that people keep thinking or thought that he would be, but from the start, was this a good race? I'm going to give this race a 79. By Gen 7 standards at Sonoma, it wasn't that bad. You had some chaos at the end of the race. Thankfully, it didn't go beyond the green-white checker, and they didn't red flag it and do all the other things. We'll get to that in a minute. But ultimately, it was Shane Van Gisbergen's day, just dominating, leading 97 of 110 laps. This race could have used a little bit more variety up front, but when you're the best road racer in NASCAR right now, by a lot, nobody's up there going to challenge you. So, let's get into what actually happened in this race, because it started off with the 88 and the 24 William Byron driving away from the field. And it felt like William Byron might have something for SVG. Spoiler, he didn't have anything for him because nobody had anything for SVG in reality. Those two gapped the field, had about an 8-second lead over third place. SVG was so far out in front, he was able to pit at the end of the stage, flip the stage, and still finish second in the stage. But in stage number 1, we also had Christopher Bell spinning at the top of turn number 2, and it felt like that might doom his day. He nearly went full Riley Herbst at Mexico, pulling back out on the racetrack as cars were coming at him. AJ Allmendinger had to take evasive action. That big Sips car, which has 16% alcohol by volume, and Dale Jr. pointed that out on the broadcast on Saturday during qualifying. He was like, we can't drink too many of those. We're not going to be talking for very long if we do. Thankfully, there was no contact there, but for Bell, it certainly kind of hurt his race there in stage number 1. SVG would pit, like I said. Ross Chastain would go on to win stage number 1. He collects the playoff point for that, which he was able to do that. He didn't need to flip the stage because he's already got a win this year. So try to collect some playoff points while you can. In stage number 2, we had AJ Allmendinger spinning out at the top of the hill there in turn 2. We had John Hunter Nemechek spinning out in the S's. Wouldn't be the last time we heard from John Hunter Nemechek on Sunday. And then we had Trackhouse on Trackhouse violence as the 99 of Daniel Suarez threw a pretty big block getting down into turn 11, that hairpin corner, the last turn on the racetrack, on his teammate, the one of Ross Chastain. Ross just decided to use the 99 as his brakes, getting into the corner, spins out the 99. I'm sure Daniel's wife is probably going to have something to say about it. If you've watched NASCAR Full Speed on Netflix, you absolutely know what I'm talking about from this past season, and Ross would be able to skirt by. Suarez, obviously, he's the odd man out. He's the one that's not going to return to Trackhouse next year, and it certainly felt like he was treated that way at the end of that one. At the end of stage number 2, Shane Van Gisbergen leading once again, because that's what he did on Sunday. Like I said, 97 of 110 laps led. He was the dominant car of the day. He pits and still manages to win stage number 2. He passes Kyle Larson on the last lap of the stage with fresher tires. Larson and, crew chief Cliff Daniels decided to stay out, tried to salvage some points, get a playoff point out of the day. Didn't work out for them. Basically doomed their entire race by trying to do that. Obviously, they have 3 wins, but those were the first laps that Kyle Larson had led since the Coke 600 back in May. Things have certainly not been clicking for that 5 team, and I wouldn't be hitting the panic button yet, but my hand would be absolutely hovering right over it, and at the sign of not having speed at Dover, I'd be hitting it, and if he doesn't have speed at Indy in a couple weeks, I'd be taking a sledgehammer and absolutely pounding it, trying to figure out what in the world is going on with that team right now, because who we thought were world beaters at the beginning of the year, they look very pedestrian as it currently stands, and I don't know if anybody is really that scared of them. But you can say the same thing about the 20 team and the 11 team right now. The championship favorites have certainly faltered over the last few weeks. But then we had the on-track incident between the 54 of Ty Gibbs and the 17 of Chris Buescher. Buescher ships the 54 up out of the way in turn 11. The 54 not very happy about it, and it appeared that he tried to retaliate on an RFK pit crew on pit road. So the 6th team of Brad Keselowski and the 54 Ty Gibbs were pitted right next to each other. When Ty comes in to do his pit stop in stage 2 there, he turns into the 6th box, which he's allowed to do, right? It's the one that's right in front of his. but when he does it, he nearly clips the tire carrier for the 6 team of Brad Keselowski. They complete the stops there, and when the 54 rolls off pit road and the 6 rolls off pit road, a member from the 6 crew goes over and gets right in the face of the 54 pit crew members. They're going chest to chest. There's a bit of a scuffle that happens on the racetrack, or on pit road there in the pit box. No punches thrown, nothing like that. NASCAR security got involved there. Joe Gibbs got involved in it as well. I'm sure you're just saying, hey, stop it. He's a football coach, right? He's been in the middle of scuffles before. And ultimately, cooler heads prevailed there. RFK tweeted out a video and said, you be the judge. As you can see it right here, you can see the 54 turning into the pit box, and he turns in pretty tight. Now, Eric Estep, obviously from Out of the Groove on YouTube, go check out his channel and everything else. Obviously, you guys have. Why am I even saying that? You all know who Eric is. You're on YouTube, of course. He tweeted out side-by-side photos of the 54s turning into the pit box. So in stage number 1, you can see where Ty Gibbs turned in at, and it wasn't nearly as tight as what he did in stage number 2, which you can see right here. So you could make an argument that he was intentionally trying to get close to the 6 pit crew members there. Now, it would be weird to try to, take out your frustration on a pit crew that had nothing to do with what happened out on the racetrack there. And ultimately, NASCAR deemed that the 54 did nothing wrong. Now, it is worth noting that Ty doesn't necessarily get the benefit of the doubt in this situation, just because he has been penalized in the past 2 times for incidents that have happened on pit road. So he has been known to, take a swipe here or there. Ultimately, like I said, NASCAR said that nothing went wrong there. He didn't do anything wrong, which the booth immediately jumped on NASCAR's side, and they're like, yeah, I don't know what Ty was supposed to do there. Keep in mind, laps before that, before NASCAR decided that they had done nothing wrong, they were like, oh yeah, this is questionable, blah, blah. Didn't love the immediate change of tone from the booth on Sunday. TNT still didn't have the amount of struggles that they had at Chicago, but certainly had some struggles on Sunday. The booth would be talking about one driver, and the director would cut to not the person they were talking about. So we'd be looking at that. I will say that they did a pretty good job of catching all the incidents that happened on track this week, which is definitely a good thing. And it didn't feel like they went to commercial right as an incident happened, which again, they can't control that. Of course, they don't know when things are going to happen on the racetrack, despite everybody talking about how it's scripted. They don't know when somebody's going to wreck out there. But getting back into what happened in stage number 3, you had Chris Buescher, Ryan Blaney. They were side by side down the front stretch into turn 1. Both of them get loose. The 17 kind of shoulders, hip checks the 12 off the racetrack, and the 12 gets high centered up the hill going into turn number 2 there. Turn 1 up to the top of turn 2, stuck. Couldn't move. Thankfully, he didn't go up the hill and ramp as we've seen other drivers do in the past, but safety crew had to come out and pull him off the hill there. We also had the 23 of Bubba Wallace spin in the dirt coming off of turn 2, and then the 11 of Denny Hamlin getting caught up in it as well. Just a bad day all around for 2311 Racing, a frustrating day, and for Denny Hamlin for the most part there. Then with 21 laps to go, Shane Van Gisbergen gets the lead back. He pitted, he got his fresh tires, he was good to go to the end of the race. McDowell stayed out, hoping to get a caution, one that would kind of level set, which would encourage everybody else to pit. Ultimately, he didn't get that type of caution that he wanted, but there was a caution because Cody Ware comes off of pit road, and he didn't blast off into any barriers this week, but he did lose the right rear tire of his car as the wheel nut goes flying off as he goes up the hill to turn 2 there. Wheel pops off, and he loses it. Wheel ends up down in turn 4. Caution has to come out because obviously there's a wheel out on the racetrack. He gets held for 2 laps. Somebody's getting a vacation over at his team. And for McDowell, they were hoping that, the way that the caution would fall would encourage everybody to come to pit road. Not everybody came to pit road. 13 cars stayed out, including the leader, Shane Van Gisbergen and Chase Briscoe. And ultimately, that's kind of how it stacked up there. So a restart with 11 laps to go. We get up to the top of the hill, which is, I believe, turn 7 at the top of the S's. Sonoma numbers it weird because the number 4, that's 4A. So you got to go from 4A to 7, which you ask me where 4B, 5, and 6 are. Who knows? It's part of the whole carousel situation that they have going on there, but I just hate the way that it's numbered. Noah Gragson gets sent around. He spins like a third of the field, goes off through the dirt. There's dirt and dust and everything flying everywhere. The 4 car can't continue on. Josh Berry spins out the 43 of Eric Jones. Eric Jones spun out Josh Berry last week, so eye for an eye. Also, not the last time we'd be talking about Josh Berry spinning somebody out in this race. We get back going again. Green flag. We're going through the S's. We made it further than we did last time. And then the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. gets turned off the nose of the 54 of Ty Gibbs. He smashes into the tire barriers, and we get a caution again. To which everybody, including the booth, was like, throw the red flag, stop wasting laps out here. In reality, the safety crew and the track workers got the tire barrier repaired quicker than a stage caution is. The amount of people calling for red flags was baffling to me, because if it's not a red flag in stage 1 or stage 2, it's not a red flag in stage 3. The consistency needs to be consistent. And that was a caution because it didn't take that long to clean it up. Give some credit to the track crew here. They did a really good job cleaning up that situation. But yeah, the amount of people calling for a red flag, I'm like, I thought you guys were all tired of road course racing. Now you want to preserve laps to see more road course racing? Somewhat perplexing there. Then we finally get restarted once again. Kyle Larson gets turned up in turn 4 by John Hunter Nemechek, who was just an agent of chaos for a little bit there. Spins out the 5 car. He clips Ryan Blaney. And no caution for that, which felt like a pretty big impact. I mean, it was car-on-car contact, one car sitting in the middle of the racetrack, no caution. So, all right, keep going. I mean, both cars got moving again, but I thought the 5 car was damaged enough to warrant a caution. Doesn't matter. We get back around to the top of turn 2, and Josh Berry just absolutely punts the 77 of Carson Hocevar out of the way. Just didn't even make an attempt to not do it. Just drove through him at the top of the hill there. I don't know if there's a prior incident between the two of them, but hey, Josh just wasn't playing with the 77 anymore. Chase Elliott had new tires. He was coming up through the field on new tires, made it all the way up to 4th, to 3rd, gets to the top of the hill in turn 2, coming on corner exit, drives off into the dirt, gets passed back for 4th, and ultimately that kind of ruined his chance. I think he could have gotten up into 2nd. I don't know if he would have been able to get to the 88. I don't think he would have passed the 88 without some sort of dive bomb attempt there, but we'll never know. The 9 car certainly had speed on those fresher tires. Then on the last lap of the race, Ty Dillon, Alex Bowman paired up in that in-season challenge. Still going on. I know all the big names got taken out. Ty Dillon, he advanced because going into the hairpin on the last lap, he bumps the 48 of Bowman out of the way, sneaks underneath him, goes on to advance into that final 4 at Dover next weekend, and got out. The two of them had a laugh about it after the race. Happy to see that. Bowman didn't take it too serious. Ty Dillon said if it wasn't for the in-season challenge, he's like, I never would have done that, but $1 million is $1 million, which I can agree with. And ultimately, Shane Van Gisbergen wins the race, his 3rd win of the year. He becomes the first driver since Jeff Gordon to win 3 straight road course races from the pole. Gordon did that in 98 and 99, back when we only race at road courses twice a year, to which some people would say that's all we should be racing at, to which I say 6 is fine. I think the whole antithesis of this, though, is the fact that people don't like the fact that we had 3 road course races in 5 weeks. But guess what? We're back to an oval next week in Dover, and everybody can relax from there. Overall, fun race, but Shane Van Gisbergen is the gold standard, and everybody else right now is racing for 2nd place. They can stay with him through about the first 2, maybe 3 corners on a restart, and then that 88 just checks out. It also helped SVG that he had a driver like Chase Briscoe on the inside, who traditionally races clean-ish. I think he knew that the 88 was just going to drive away from him as well, and didn't lay a bumper or anything to him. Not that he had that many opportunities, but, there was still an opportunity too. Before we move on to the next segment, let's talk about our top 10 and our point situation as it currently stands. So top 10 wise, obviously Shane Van Gisbergen wins the race. Chase Briscoe comes home in 2nd. Chase Elliott 3rd. Michael McDowell, really good rebound for him, a P4 finish. Christopher Bell spins out earlier in the race, gets a top 5 finish out of the day. Tyler Reddick, P6. I know he's really mad after the race when he went on the TNT post-race show, but that was a hard-fought 6th place finish for that team, but he wants to be a factor, and I completely understand that. Ty Gibbs in 7th, William Byron in 8th, Joey Logano, the quietest top 10 you'll ever see for Joey Logano in 9th, and Kyle Busch, 2nd week in a row. He spins out during the race, records a top 10 finish, so overall, good event for them. Josh Berry finishes 13th, Daniel Suarez spins out early in the race, he finishes 14th, but what about the playoff standings? And hey, NASCAR.com added the playoff standings to the website finally. It's great to see that get added finally. Shane Van Gisbergen in 3rd place in the points like I talked about before. Tyler Reddick currently still in on points, plus 149 over the cutoff line. Chris Buescher plus 34. Alex Bowman plus 32. And Bubba Wallace on the bubble at plus 3 points. He gained a single point this week over Ryan Preece. Ryan Preece is 3 points below the cutoff line. Obviously, Kyle Busch 37. Kyle Busch can still point his way into this playoffs. AJ Allmendinger 50 points below. Ty Gibbs 60 points below. I think AJ Allmendinger, Ty Gibbs are in must-win situations at this point. I still think that Kyle Busch can point his way in. And yeah, anybody underneath Ty Gibbs, Eric Jones, Michael McDowell, John Hunter Nemechek, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Carson Hocevar, 96 points below the cutoff line now. All of those guys need to point their way into the playoffs. I do find it funny. And Carson Hocevar's supremely talented, has a lot of speed, but all these people hyping him up. Carson Hocevar, next Dale Earnhardt. Carson Hocevar deserves the better ride. Carson Hocevar is going to win a race, blah, blah, blah. Carson Hocevar and Zane Smith are tied in points, and nobody talks about Zane Smith, who is also a very talented race car driver as well. But let's talk about Ty Gibbs real quick. Because as we talked about before, the in race, a little bit of conflict that the pit crews had there stemmed from Ty turning into that pit box and clipping that tire carrier for the 6 car of Brad Keselowski. Now, did Ty do anything wrong? By the rules, I would say no. And NASCAR seemed to agree with that. I do hope NASCAR takes a deeper look at it this week as well. Just because of, like I said, with the Eric Estep photos of how he turned in stage number 1 versus how he turned in stage number 2. Now, not a race car driver. Maybe he made some, corrections there. Maybe that's all that it was. Cool, fine, so be it. But like I said before, Ty doesn't get the benefit of the doubt in these situations because we've seen him get penalized for pit road antics before, twice before, in fact. And safety on pit road should be paramount, right? You can't be putting people in danger unnecessarily. And NASCAR has taken a stand about that, right? Like obviously last year post-race, Joey Logano does the burnout on pit road after he was mad at Richmond with Ty Dillon's family right there. Like that's dangerous. We've seen drivers do burnouts in the garages with their wrecked race cars. Dangerous. Things like that are dangerous. Intentionally, if it was intentional, turning in to get close to a pit crew member, wildly dangerous, should be penalized. At the same time, if he didn't do it on purpose, then you can't penalize him. You should just be like, hey man, like maybe just be a little bit more cognizant of your surroundings here. But ultimately, for Ty Gibbs, it's an unfortunate situation because he's not going to get the benefit of the doubt, like I said, and he doesn't deserve it, right? Because we've seen this happen from him before. We've seen him do other things on pit road in the Cup Series when he was filling in for Kurt Busch when he was injured as well. Like, there's been incidents with him. And as much as I think Ty has matured a little bit over the last few years, it's still small things like this where you're like, man, has he matured or has he gotten, better at it, controlling his emotions and everything like that? And hey, again, if he didn't do anything wrong, then so be it. We'll move on from it. But when you watch the video, it definitely seems like it was a tight turn-in there to get close to that tire carrier. And if you want to settle something, don't settle it with a pit crew member there. Settle it out on the racetrack and, junk the 17 if you want to. Not, don't right rear hook him and turn him head on into the wall, but, get in the bumper to him like Josh Berry did to Carson Hocevar and ship him at the top of turn 2. All right, really no harm, no foul. They just lose a bunch of positions. Ultimately, that's what comes out of it. So, yeah, Ty Gibbs, I don't think did anything on purpose, just looking at it, just from a high-level view. But I do think that maybe it deserves a bit of a talking to be like, hey, let's not have this happen again. Obviously, it's a tight pit road. Obviously, you're pitting, during the stage, you're trying to make as much time as you can. You're trying to limit the amount of time on pit road. I get all of that. I understand it. But at the same time, I don't like seeing guys get put in harm's way, potentially unnecessarily. Justin Marks looks like an absolute genius right now because in the era of specialization, his team over at Trackhouse has taken full advantage of that. In NASCAR's win and you're in era, that's exactly what they're doing. They're winning and they're now in the playoffs. And he hired a guy that is good on 6 racetracks, supremely good on 6 racetracks, and is learning the other 30 racetracks out there. And that guy, Shane Van Gisbergen, has Trackhouse in the playoffs already, has secured that 88 team, the playoff bonus money that's going to get out of it, probably in the tune of like $3+ million as well. And Justin Marks looks incredibly smart for doing it. He goes ahead and dumps Zane Smith, and no offense to Zane Smith, but Zane wasn't going to win 3 races on a road course this year if they had moved him in-house this year to take over that third Trackhouse ride. And instead, he put Shane Van Gisbergen in there. He puts all of his faith in SVG to win a race, get that team into the playoffs, like I said, and secure that extra payout, and he did just that. Then he won again. Now he's won again. He's currently 3rd in the playoff standings. He's got 17 playoff points. He has stacked enough points at this point that if he can just average like a 20th place finish in round 1, he'll advance on to the second round of these playoffs. And for all the people out there that are moaning and crying that this guy is just good at one type of track, this guy is taking away a playoff spot, he doesn't deserve to be in the playoffs, why not? He did exactly what the rules have laid out. He won on a road course. And we need to stop acting like he's taking away a playoff spot. No offense to Bubba Wallace, Ryan Preece, Kyle Busch, AJ Allmendinger, anybody else that's down there on the bubble line. Do we really think they're going to contend for a championship this year? Absolutely not. But at least this guy's out there winning races. Oh, well, he only wins on road courses where he's good at. Okay, great. Nobody else is doing it. They're not winning on tracks that they're traditionally good at. Kyle Busch isn't winning at Bristol. AJ Allmendinger hasn't won at any road courses. Bubba Wallace hasn't won any at super speedways. So why are we out here moaning that Shane Van Gisbergen is taking away, it's cheapening the playoffs, things like that? All he's done is gone out there and done his job. Don't hate the player, hate the game type of thing. And I know plenty of people hate the game. But Justin Marks absolutely made the right decision. And that's what he's kind of banking on next year with Connor Zilisch as well. Not that it hasn't been officially announced, but I think everybody expects Connor Zilisch to be in that third Trackhouse car next year, replacing Daniel Suarez. And Suarez is a really talented race car driver. But Connor Zilisch brings a very similar skill set to SVG, where he'll be able to come in and immediately be competitive on road courses. And that's what they're banking on. They're banking on him being able to come in and win a road course race next year, because they don't think that Daniel Suarez can do that. And Connor Zilisch has the skill set to also go out and win on ovals. We've seen him do it in the Xfinity Series. So they're really banking on that happening. And Justin Marks right now looks really, really smart for the process that he's been able to put together here. And Shane Van Gisbergen, he was kind of emotional after his win on Sunday at Sonoma. He hopes to be in NASCAR for a long time. And he appreciated everybody putting faith in him because he did exactly what he was hired to do. And it's not an easy task. The Cup Series drivers are really, really good at racing on a road course. A lot of them are really good. Just happens to be that Shane Van Gisbergen is that much better than them right now. And eventually the field's going to catch up. That's how everything goes. Marcus Ambrose looked unstoppable. AJ Allmendinger at times has looked unstoppable on road courses. Everybody catches up. Same with Juan Pablo Montoya. Things always catch up to them. Jeff Gordon, unstoppable on road courses. 9 road course wins in his career. Eventually everybody else caught up to him as well. Times change, and that's what's going to happen with Shane. I think the scary part is for NASCAR drivers, if SVG does in fact figure out ovals, then he's got one heck of a skill set because there might not be any weak tracks for him. And he's starting to figure it out. Everybody's like, oh, he only finishes 30th on ovals. Nah, look at his last 6 or 7 oval races. He's starting to finish up in the 20s. I wouldn't be shocked to see him start knocking on top 15s as we go to tracks for a second time, as he gets more comfortable. And we'll see what happens. But right now, Justin Marks made a really good decision to put SVG in that car, and it has absolutely paid off for him so far. So let me know in the comments what you thought about the race, what your rating would be. Did Ty Gibbs do anything wrong? Justin Marks, Shane Van Gisbergen, seems to be a really good match. It seems to be a really good decision. Interested to hear your decision or your ideas on it. Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on TikTok at BreakHard, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at BreakHardBlog.